pandemic and mental health taught me one thing, that I need to be part of the solution. If I can help one person, like affect them so they can lead a happier, healthier life, then it's all been worth it.
Welcome everybody to Jukebox Jax podcast, episode 7, and honestly, I am so excited to sit down with this guy that's on your screen right now. Taylor James, as probably single-handedly, and I didn't say it before we came on there because I didn't want to make him blush too much, but he primarily got me through lockdowns with the episodes that he were doing. That's when I discovered your podcast, to be fair. I was studying the Access course, which gives me a progression onto the mental health nursing degree from September. So I had a lot of things going off, try to balance the homeschooling situation with the kids, then them going back and then having to isolate, all that stuff. Me still working full-time, 53 hours a week for a company, working nights and stuff. So driving up and down Yorkshire area and stuff like that, you were my outlet. And there were so many times through days when I was frustrated, but then come nighttime and I'd see, obviously, because I follow you on Spotify, so it notifies me, that little blue button comes up at the side and I'm like, yes, I just know while I'm driving around, I'm going to be smiling. And it's always one of your premises, usually on your guests that you have on, where you, same as me, you always say the same, you come off of that chat and your face hurts. Like, I feel like I'm sat in the room with you on them episodes because...
Mine's hurting now. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't take compliments at all. I don't know how to take them. But do you know what? Hearing stuff like that, one, I can't thank you enough because it gives me that drive to kind of keep going. Like, I actually feel like a little bit emotional. So I wasn't expecting that.
It's all right,
but mate, genuinely, thank you genuinely, like, from the bottom of my heart. Like, I don't even know what to say, because
honestly, mate, no, it's
thank you. Like, I massively appreciate that.
I don't know how I'm gonna be. I don't know if you get wrestling references, but I'm gonna be all CM Punk for you. I'm gonna be all the voice of the voiceless and stuff, and I'll be the person to tell you how you make people feel when they're listening, because not enough people. I know a lot of people do get in touch with you, but not a lot of people, not as many do that should. And yeah, so it's thank you for what you do, for what you put out there, the content and everything else, man. Because you're bridging the very important thing for your... I mean, you started out small, like most people do with these things, but the level of guests you're bringing in, you're bridging that gap where within society, people think, people that's got some form of celebrity attached to them, they don't live in real world and stuff like that.
Shut up.
No. Just stay with me on this. But you have guests on where they have obviously the well-known radio presenters and people like that, and people wouldn't think sitting at home, it's like, I bet they've got a perfect life. They don't deal with anything. They ain't got mental health issues. Like, I can't relate to them. And then you have them on show, and then they open up about something that they've never really talked about, even on mainstream media. And then people are going away from it like, holy fuck, like, they went through that, but yet they're now in a successful place in life and they've got this going off, they've got that going off. And it shines a light on people's current situation and shows you can get through it. It doesn't matter what you're going through, you can get through it. So that's for me why I love the variety of guests you have on.
No, massively. That genuinely has made my week. Like, I feel all like, because I don't know how to think.
Yeah.
But it's a huge driving force behind it. And, I wanted it to be that thing that I kind of needed, because when I didn't know what mental health was till I kind of went through what I did. Yeah. And it was from having these kind of conversations that I've learned more about myself, about other people, about my mental health, about even just like my personality, all these kind of aspects, just by having these conversations. And, I'm incredibly grateful and lucky, because I don't know how I've managed to get some of the people on that I have, but it just proves that regardless of your walk of life, like, it doesn't matter how much money you've got in the bank, how much, like, fame you have, or, if you're standing on a stage or whatever it might be, like, you're all feeling these normal emotions. And I used to watch some of these people, like, I've gone to their gigs, I've, like, went to watch like films that they're in, and it's just like, well, yeah, like they're just like me. They're normal. Like, and so what? When I am struggling with my anxiety or my PTSD, it's like it's normal. It is really normal.
That's for me personally. I can't speak for everybody, but that is literally why I'm drawn to your episodes anyway. Because just like everybody, I heard it first. It came up as part of my own analytics for the mental health nursing side. It came up as a podcast you might like. It's mental health, and I was like, oh. And then one of the episodes, I believe, don't hold me to it. It was somebody that was on possibly Love Island. I'm not too certain. With Love Island or a similar type of show. It was a guy, I can't remember his name now. It would literally. We'd just come out of his first lockdowns last summer.
Is it Paul Danan?
No, it wasn't Paul. Yeah, I know Paul Danan. Funny guy. I like him.
Yeah, I genuinely took so much away from that episode. Like, he blew me away. Like, there's two versions of that episode. There's one that will never see the light of day, but there's another one that we had to re-record. And honestly, like, both, I took some of the best advice I've took away from any kind of episode from him.
Yeah, there's like
I can't remember who else. Was it Ricky? Was it Ricky?
Yeah,
Ricky.
Ricky. It could have been Ricky.
I should know this.
he was no, mate. You have done so many. Like, what season are you actually on? Like, you've done a lot. To be fair,
yeah, season 6.
Yeah,
now, I think.
So no, people can forgive you for forgetting the name.
Oh,
I mean,
you.
To be fair, let's be honest. Luke didn't get your name right on the last episode, which
they never do.
Was highly funny. So funny. Like, but it was more because of obviously the serious side, obviously with what he suffers with and things like that. But the comedy element to the Tourette's, the outbursts that came out while he were trying to justify, sorry mate, I'd like, do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, wait, no, that was the episode before with the singer. Sorry mate, I totally mixed, because I double sessioned last night. I listened to both episodes that I'd not caught, and I've mixed them both together. It was the songwriter that got your name wrong. That was the one.
Songwriter.
It was 3 episodes ago. I'm getting good.
Oh God, Dan.
Yeah, Dan.
Dan.
Yes. Yeah.
How rude! I actually went for a beer with him as well.
That's what you said on it. As soon as you said that, I was like, because at first you were totally like, "Oh no, it's fine, mate, it's fine." And then when you said you've been for a beer, I was like, "No, he should have known."
Yeah,
he should have known.
Yeah, rude.
Yeah,
but he honestly, like, I love how this is kind of, it's connecting people like that you would never in a million years, like, and randomly. I heard one of his songs, and then I reached out to him. It's like, because obviously I'm a huge fan of kind of giving people props when they're due, and like, especially when it comes to music, like if I hear a song and it kind of hits with me, I'm like, I need to tell you, I need to kind of say this is how it's made me feel. And we kind of connected, and he was like, oh, I see you from Coventry. I'm in Coventry on this day. Like, do you fancy going for a beer?
No
I was there. He was there like for like 4 hours or something. I was like, yeah. So it's so weird how it's all kind of, it's bringing, I don't want to say community, but like it's bringing people from all different walks of life. Like, it is funny
that you said community, because that's how, it wasn't even actively thought of the reason to do it. It would just, that's how I felt when we were kind of doing what we're doing, that we want to help build a community around mental health awareness, because that's ultimately, we want people to talk, and if people can't talk because they don't have anybody around them, then we need to build a community around them. So it's quite funny that you said community, because that is the first word that comes to mind whenever I think about out like that. So no, it's true. But can I actually start this episode by stealing what you actually do on your show? To be fair, if it's not
of course you
already
can.
too cringe. So for those people that have not already caught up on the Waffle Shop podcast that Taylor hosts, it's amazing. It's everywhere where you can find, obviously, your podcast, wherever you get them. I tend to just associate with Spotify, but I know I'm available on Apple and everywhere else. I'll put the description within the description of this episode. I'll put obviously all the social details of social pages for Taylor. But one of the brilliant things that it does, and I need to start getting better at doing it, to be fair, because we're studying and everything else. let a lot of things go over my head, and then before I know it, it's like a giant weight. So I need to get better at ranting. So Taylor uses the beginning of each of his episodes just to kind of like let his guests just sort of like, is there a vote that's really, really pissed you off this week? Or you just kind of just want to be like, "Ugh," and then I'm going to feel better, shake it off, and then I'm all good. So I'm going to rant to you. I did, to be fair, I had one, but then another just crept up like 2 days ago. So I'm going to completely unload onto you.
Hit me with it. Get off your chest.
So the first one that I had already, and it was about the Euros for football. And you're probably like, where are we going to go with this one? So what annoys me is how critical some people are about, and this broadens past sport. Like, people have opinions on, specifically what I'm talking about here is how people criticize the England team because they wasn't playing exciting football. They didn't score loads of goals. Wait, we came top at group and we didn't concede a goal. Do you know there's twice in history we've ever done that? 2021 and 1966. Like, this
Big year.
Yeah, and even saying that out loud there, that gave me goosebumps again.
Yeah, no, I did as well. That was weird. Because that was weird. I did as well.
I absolutely love stuff like that. When I sent it to my son, and I said it, he got up one mornings, and I'd sent it to him, and he's literally like, "What the fuck? Like, really?" And I'm like, "I'm not making shit up. Like, go and Google it. It's actually true." I heard it on the news this morning, and I love stuff like that because it just resonates. It's sort of like, wait, that can't be a coincidence that sort of shit happens. So with the England team progressing and doing what they've done, but yet people are still complaining, that really pissed me off. And I'm one of them people where it's sort of like, not all people, but some people, yes, everybody deserves an opinion and you can choose to express it, but you've got to choose when to express it, and you've got to weigh up, does it make you feel better by expressing it? Like, no. Because them same people I'm seeing are now uber excited because we're facing Germany. Yeah. And the same players that they were bad mouthing, criticized the shit, should never wear an England shirt. We're going to literally strap up another Beckham thingy and hang him kind of thing. It's like, now they're saying, oh, he's going to go and score 3 goals. And it's like, get a grip, people. Like, I think within our country, we've always, and I'm saying we, it doesn't include me, it doesn't include you, but you know what I'm saying. You have to generalize in that sense, don't you? They're too quick to just jump on negatives all the time. It's like, let's look at the positives. We've got through. Yeah. And to be fair, we've probably got one of the easiest draws we've had in years. But people still whinging. And I'm like, seriously, people, get a grip. And it just, everywhere I looked, every social media that I'm on and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I can't deal with this shit anymore. And then I'd literally turn telly on, and then they were banging on about it on news. Oh, Gareth Southgate needs to drop this person, and they really should have scored more goals. And I'm like, what is going on right now? In the grand scheme of things, honestly, what is going on?
Drains the life out of me. Stuff like this does, because I'm just like you said, like, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but unless you're in that position, unless you are literally Gareth Southgate and you're like managing the English football team, you're allowed your opinion, but you're not in that position to then be like, well, he's wrong. He's like, and I think you can apply it to every aspect of life.
Yes.
Like, you've started something now. Now I'm getting all fired up about this, but you've got these like, and especially like when I started out with the podcast, it was like people kind of saying like, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, as if they've got like a Grammy in podcasting. You're like, hang on a minute. And there was a quote that I saw, and I still like, and I've actually got this saved as a draft on my Instagram because it sounds very salty and very aggy, and I'll post it one day. It's like, do not take criticism from people you wouldn't go to advice for.
Yes. And that is so true.
Yeah. So unless you're in that position and you've got all those years of football behind you and you're in a position where you're managing that team, yeah, fair enough, you're going to have your opinion. Everyone's entitled to it, but like, no one wants to hear it. Like,
no, it serves no point, does it? And it, like I say, that mentality, it outreaches past sport and everything else. Everyday life, we know people in them situations they'll always find a negative in something, and it's like, that sort of mentality says more about you than it does as me as a person or what you try to tear down. It's saying that you're really not happy in yourself to have that much instant negative vibes to just want to throw them out onto the nearest person around you. It's no. But then, sadly, that led me on to 2 days after that. I was like, do you know what? I'm past that now. I'm past it. It's fine. It's all right. It still kind of grinds on me a little bit because I know full well all them same people are going to be jumping for joy when we go through it next round and stuff. The hypocrites, because that's what I hate, hypocrites. So then turns, it didn't even turn news, and I think it was just something that glanced on between adverts where media were tearing strips again into Harry and Meghan, and I'm just like, leave the fucking couple alone. Like, Jesus Christ. It's like they were banging on about how, Harry said that his dad cut him off, but he were actually still paying him. And it's like when they've looked into it, it's like, well, no, the fiscal year for how it works for royals was different to, what the media thought. But they just jumped straight on bandwagon. They're like, oh, well, he said he didn't want out to do it. But yeah, Prince Charles has still been paying him millions and millions of taxpayers' money and stuff. And it's like, does it affect you the same way of when they decided they didn't want to be a part of royal family anymore because of what had been going off with Meghan and stuff like that and her mental health? Does it really affect you? No. And I don't want to put it all on one person, but I think Piers Morgan's got a lot to fucking answer for. with his outspokenness, the outbursts during all that stuff that were going off, and it gave a lot of. I just noticed there were a lot of more people that were kind of like, I totally agree with what Piers was saying, and then they'd go off spouting, and it's like, yeah, but you're wrong.
Yeah,
like just because you don't believe someone when they're saying they're suffering with the mental health, doesn't mean they're not actually suffering with it. And you, by like literally going on at them and on at them and on at them, is not helping them, especially. But it's not shining in a good light for you either, in that sense.
No, it's true, and I don't know where I stand with the whole Harry Meghan thing, because I don't understand politics. I don't understand the royal family. Like, I don't like. This is going to sound really bad. I don't care enough to pass on an opinion, kind of thing. Yeah. But what I didn't like about that whole situation, that whether you believe Meghan or whether you don't believe Meghan, she reached out for help and she didn't get it.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got someone in that position, everyone in this world knows who she is. Everyone knows the royal family, regardless of where you're from in the world. You know who these people are.
Yeah.
And if she's reaching out and she's not getting help, or she's getting kind of told no, what does that mean for me? Or for that, probably what 10, 11, 12-year-old male or female being like, oh, well, if Meghan's not getting the help that she needs and she's struggling, what does that mean for me? That's what I didn't like about that whole situation, because regardless, again, of where you're from in the world, what walk of life, like, if you need help and you're reaching out for help, you deserve to get it. Like, if you've got that courage in you to say, I need some help, I need, I'm scared.
Yeah.
The last thing we should be doing is kind of saying no and kind of closing the door in their face. That's what I don't agree with. And for people to kind of mock that and be like, oh no, she's lying. Like, are you in her position? Because it was those kind of people who, when Diana died, was probably sitting around crying, blaming the Queen for doing something.
Exactly.
But now it's because it's kind of history repeating itself, and this man is actually standing up for his wife. Now it's a problem.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough. I'm not in their position. I don't know.
All
but
we
that's
can
just
do,
kind of
for people like yourself and me, all we can do in them situations is listen to what's being said and take the genuineness that's present in things that's being said, and then how we can relate it to our past experiences, what we're going through, what we've seen other people go through, and you just take a judgment from there. But even then, we're not the sort of people to express an opinion. Yeah, if we're asked and we're in the right sort of social surrounding, we'll express how we feel. But again, there's some people who'll just jump straight on your opinion, like, oh,
Yeah.
well, how can you say that because of this, this, this? It's like, yeah, but you don't know this, this, this. That's just what you heard on the
Exactly.
news. You weren't in that room when she went to the advisors and said, I'm genuinely struggling. And then Harry said, no, it's worse than that. She's actually been thinking about how
Yeah.
to take a life. We need help. And then as they have stated in that sense, which to a degree, when you see a big conglomerate thing like the royal family and the firm, as they call it, you can see how they'd be bothered about public opinion and stuff. So I think that
I
was the
kind
main
of see
thing
it
for
as
me.
like, and I'm saying this from personal experience, so I could be pissing people off when I say this, but it's kind of that like old dog mentality. Like you see it in like businesses. Like my old job before I obviously did what I do now, it was very much like if you challenged a thought process, or if you said like you brought up the conversations around mental health. Like I remember sitting down with one of my old managers, and this is something that I will never ever forgive them for. I mean, they were very supportive in one sense, but they did a lot of damage.
Yeah.
I remember I was really, really struggling like on this particular day. And I think it was after a year after kind of everything had happened. And he turned around to me and said, you've had enough time now to get your head around it. And literally still to this day. And it's just like, well, no, I haven't had enough time to get around it. Because for one, I'm sitting here every goddamn day whilst all this other stuff is going on, struggling. And to hear comments like that, like I'm again from just personal experience. So if you've got those people who are still kind of very mental health doesn't exist, like this isn't a thing, like, oh, it's all this kind of culture, like you showing emotion is weak, this, that, and the other, like it still exists. And when you've got something that like the monarchy that has been built on these kind of like values and that kind of like stiff upper lip, like, typical British, like go to war, and I don't know where I was going with that, but it's that kind of mentality. Like, so I believe that she asked for help and she didn't get it. And but I don't, at the same time, I don't know. I'm only speaking from personal experience from what I've seen. And obviously I'm not a royal, so I can't.
And at this point, I will say the exact same as what Taylor's just said there. We don't know. We weren't there. All we can do is base it off of our own experiences going through similar things. And we can see how there's a trend, shall we say.
Yeah.
And it's about breaking the trends, breaking the cycle, and re-educating and the awareness of things. Do you know what? Thanks, mate. That actually,
it's all right.
I feel better. I do actually feel better.
That's what I'm here for.
Because as well as I do, it's one thing to express your frustrations like via a message on WhatsApp group to your mates, to your lads and stuff like that, but to actually vocalize it feels better, the relief. Like I think I find myself getting more frustrated and wound up when I send the message, because then I'll read it back and I'll be like, that's got about 6 fucking spelling mistakes in it. That makes no sense what I've just said. So,
but it's the tone as well. Like everyone's read a message wrong at some point in their life. Like, and I think especially when you're having these kind of conversations like on social media and you type in the comments and stuff like that, there is always going to be someone that like disagrees. There is always someone who's going to, not be happy with what you said. Like, but as long as you're kind of doing it in a kind of constructive way, and you don't kind of make yourself feel better by tearing other people down. And the people who do that, they're the ones who are probably struggling a hell of a lot more than what you are. So it's kind of, if you are being kind of met with that kind of like hostility and that kind of challenging, it's probably because you're doing something that they only wish that they could do.
It's exactly that.
So
it's exactly that.
Just try, and it's easier said than done, but you can't take it personally. Like I'm speaking this from personal experience. It's like I've took a bit of a battering, especially this whole social media thing.
I've said the same to the my academic bubble group members. We've got like a WhatsApp group and stuff, and we've all pulled each other through this access course, trying to get the diploma done to give us enough UCAS points to get onto degree, because it's been that long, 36-year-old. I know I don't look it, Taylor. I know, thanks. It's been that long since I've studied. Like, I finished my A levels and stuff in 2003. So we needed to do an access course just because we didn't have enough UCAS points to go straight into degree. But it's something that we joked about, that because out of that entire group, there's only me and someone from the other group that's going to be mental health nurses. The other ones are going into just general practitioning, midwives. But they were all saying, you're going to be, like, they literally say, they're like, you're going to be the mental health nurse that's full of cliches. And it's so true, but because
you know what I find, and I don't know if this is just a me thing, but I feel like you said it earlier on, and it kind of made me laugh now. I don't know if this is just like a mental health kind of person thing to do, but to do this whole like 100%, 100%,
yeah.
And now it's happening more and more. Like, I'm becoming more aware of it, and I don't know how to get out of that. But it's like 100%. Oh, absolutely, 100%. It's like, stop saying it.
Yeah, because I think it's the natural thing, the positive reinforcement in it, and once people are starting down the avenue of opening up in conversations or whatever else, you need to continue them and make them feel safe and secure as they're doing it. And yeah, I'm same as you in that respect. It's usually absolutely. Oh
yeah.
And then I'm thinking, God, there's got to be more words afterwards. It's like,
and then with the dictionary afterwards, like kind of trying to find.
Yeah, because you test out different things, like I feel you, but then it's like, well, that depends on the guest. Like, you can't really.
So one that I really grinds my gears is I can imagine. Because I can imagine just says to me, you cannot be asked to listen to what I've just said.
Yes.
So I can imagine.
Yeah.
Can you? Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you can.
Yeah, I'm glad you have just spent 2 seconds literally compressing what I've been going through for 20 plus years. That's brilliant. Yeah. And yeah.
Just the gift that keeps on giving. Joke. Narcissist.
Amen to that. So yeah, for people that are that listening in that have not already jumped on the bandwagon when I share obviously your posts that you put up and things like that, yeah, tell the wider community who you are and your podcasting journey, where it began and such, and obviously the sort of conversations that you're having on Waffle Shop Podcast, which always makes me hungry, by the way. Cheers, Taylor.
I know everyone does this. Everyone says this, and it's like I feel bad because it's like quite in your face as well. Like,
no,
I don't know whether the mic picked up about like 10 minutes ago. Like, my belly made such like a rumbling sound. I was trying to like talk over it. So I'm the same. Oh, look, that's all I can see. It's waffle. But yeah, like I went through like a pretty rough time of it a few years back. I nearly lost my mum to an operation that went wrong, and yeah, kind of what happened on the back of that was I was thrown into kind of a situation where I had to become like a parental figure to my younger sister. I had to run a house. I had to kind of keep my career going, and in that whole process of like being in and out of hospitals, like spending like 12 hours a day, like by my mum's side, just like squeeze my hand, like just to kind of get some kind of like sign of life. I struggled. I didn't understand this whole mental health thing. And it was around January of last year, 2020. Mum was back in hospital with aspirated pneumonia. And I was sat down in this little room again. They kind of just said, like, she's not responding. There's nothing more we can do. And bear in mind, like, that I get told like 3-4 times a year, like, my mom isn't going to make it. So it's kind of like a rolling form of like post-traumatic stress. Well,
yeah,
that is exactly what it is. That's what obviously they've diagnosed me with. But it's when you're in those kind of situations, like the only way I can describe it, you know, like when Harry Potter starts like destroying the Horcruxes, and Voldemort gets weaker and weaker and weaker.
Yeah,
I'm not comparing myself to Voldemort at all, but it was like it's like that's how I can describe it, like how I kind of like articulate it. And yeah, it was just this kind of this last time, and it was just like I can't do this anymore. Like I didn't I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to continue living my life the way it was being lived. Like, I was putting so much pressure on myself. I was under so much pressure. Like, I felt like I didn't know where to turn. Like, and every kind of conversation that I had with people was like, and it's, to be fair, it still happens now. And like, my sister will agree. It's like, how's your mum? How's your mum doing? It was like never kind of like, how are you guys doing? Like, do you need anything? Like, you know, how can I help? And I mean, there was people out there who did it, but because I was so used to like the situation being about kind of like my mom, it was very much like, I can't talk about it. And I mean, I'm very lucky to have the relationship with my little sister that I do have, because when things got really, really bad, it was actually her and my best mate that said, like, I think you kind of need to accept some help now. You need to kind of talk. So I reached out. I was very lucky to get the therapist that I did. And I had 3 sessions with her, 3 or 4 sessions. And then the pandemic hit. So in that time, I had like a little bit of a weekend away down at like my auntie's, kind of like a holiday home thing. And I had this idea, had a few tequilas, had a few beers. I was like, you know what? I love music. I love podcasts. I'm going to do my own. I'm going to start talking about it, see what happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously pandemic hit, sessions came to an end. It was like, right, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to do this now, because I can't go back to that. I was scared, like, of where this whole journey was taking me. And I don't even know where to begin to say how much it has changed my life. Like, it is, I don't know. It is blown me away to a point where life as I knew it doesn't exist anymore. Like, that version of Taylor doesn't exist. That version of my friendship group doesn't exist. Like, it's completely broke down that barrier, especially with like my lad mates, of like, you know, if things are shit, if we're anxious, if whatever it is, like, we can now have that conversation like as if it's completely normal. And it's that those tiny little things that make it so important to me, like, I'm so proud of. And the fact that I'm now sat here having this conversation like with you, like I've never met, like, you know, you're 100 miles away and you're kind of telling me that same kind of thing. Like, it's allowed you to feel like what you're feeling is normal, and it's that kind of safe space. Like, it I don't know how to even say it, but it's just mad. And the opportunities, and that is kind of was born out of such like a horrible, painful experience. Like, it's come at obviously such a huge cost, but like, it's also one of the most beautiful things that could actually ever have happened. I don't know what to say.
I mean, on like your previous episodes, I'm sure you've probably touched on it before, but do you think, are you one of them philosophical? Well, I have pretty much no answer, but are you one of them philosophical people where you kind of like everything happens when it was supposed to happen for a reason and such? Because
you know what? It's really weird, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And everyone says that, like, oh, it all happens for a reason. But from going from being the kind of man of the house anyway, and kind of financially being like the provider at home and having the relationship I did with my sister, and when this happened, it was kind of like I took to it like a duck to water kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it happened very naturally. I mean, what was happening with my mum wasn't obviously natural. It was like, it couldn't be helped. It was just like a freak thing that happened. And I feel like a lot of people were expecting me to fail, but because I was so like determined, because in the nicest way possible, like, my mum was being taken care of, so I didn't have to really, I was worried about my mum, obviously.
Yeah.
But my attention was keeping a roof over like my sister's head.
Yeah.
Like, that's where a lot of my drive still comes from. And when I look back of the whole kind of situation and the ups and downs with it all, I probably would sit here now, like, with the kind of job that I have and, you know, the position that I'm in, to be like, yeah, I think this is what I was kind of put here to do. like this is kind of like my purpose now. And you know, I've always felt kind of like trapped. Like before this, I worked in like a 9 to 5 like IT job that I hated. Like I provided no value. It did absolutely nothing for me other than pay my bills. And I used to wake up every morning in that job and have the worst anxiety. The day, I think when I finished, I had one day where I wasn't working. Then I started my new job the day after. That day, I was like, I had nothing. I woke up, I didn't set my alarm, woke up fresh as anything. For the first morning, probably a year, I didn't have like any anxiety. I was like, this was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
This is what's supposed to be happening. And yeah, I don't put my faith in a lot of things, but this whole process now, I'm just like, I'm in full trust of it, because what will be will not pass you by.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is what's happening.
And it's obviously, it served you well up to this point, kind of thing. Like you say, it's
changed my life. It's literally, I don't know how to say it. I really don't. And even when I say it out loud, like you said earlier, like when you saying these things out loud, it really kind of, it puts some like meaning behind them. And it's, yeah, on a daily basis, I have these kind of little moments, like conversations like this, or the message that you get that, you know, because I still have really bad days. Like there's certain days when I'm just like, I cannot stand the sight of waffles. If I'm in Asda and I'm in a bad mood and I'm going down that frozen aisle and I see like a waffle, I'm like, fuck off. Like I just get this rage, but then it's just like, do you know what? This is I've never said that before. But it does, and yeah, I love it at the same time. It's what keeps me going on those bad days.
Yeah, that, to be fair, I mean, obviously, where Jukebox Jax brand still relatively in its infancy, shall we say, in that sense, for the things we've got planned. But that one of the things that I wasn't ready for, the outreach of people who actually message you and tell you just how, you know, a simple post you've put on, or a simple a line out of an episode has changed their way of thinking, their way of life, their outlook. And it's like, I knew going into the mental health field that, you know, I've naturally always been one of them healer type people. I'll always sit and listen, talk to people. So I knew I'd be able to take that into it. But just to have people from Canada, Australia, South Africa reaching out from middle of nowhere, no chance that
I don't get this.
Yeah.
I don't understand this part of it, but I think it just proves how, like, by being yourself, especially with like the stuff that you do, like being authentic and just kind of being that kind of voice or being that kind of ear that people need, like regardless of what language you speak, like it resonates with them. So that, like, I know you're saying like you're only like at the start of it, but like this should be proof that you don't give up with this. Like you run with this as long as kind of like it is helping people, but more importantly, like helping you, like it's an outlet for you. And that's one thing that I learned from that, like the hard way, that it's your kind of show, it's your kind of like baby. And I feel like as soon as you start feeling the kind of like the pressures of like, oh, I need to like do this for someone else, I need to like put an episode out, that's when it becomes like a little bit kind of, I'd probably say dangerous.
Yeah.
So if I was to kind of give you any advice other than keep going, keep doing what you're doing, because like you just said, look at the impact you're having by people that you're never going to meet these people.
No.
But we never know. But you know, in the midst of the pandemic,
just pop up out of nowhere.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it happens.
Like you said on other episode that you did with 2 episodes ago, where you were joking about hiding in bushes and stuff like that. People just rocking up at your door.
It happens. So, do you know what someone happened the other day actually? And I haven't posted about this because I don't want people to think like I'm an absolute like weirdo. But obviously, it's got quite a little bit of coverage, like in my local kind of area. Someone shouted out their car, "Waffle Man."
No.
And now this is like, I'm mortified. So I love going on my walks and stuff, but now like I'm on edge. Like,
waffle, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a distant friend of a friend, but it was still. I was like, oh no, is that what people know me for? Like, it's mad.
It's funny that you just said that actually, because I didn't really think about that. That obviously, I've been doing. I mean, yeah, I've been doing this from the inner sanctuary of a pandemic. So when the podcast episodes, as well as going to concerts, doing video logs, interviewing bands behind the scenes and stuff, there will come a time when I'm going to have someone Jax, and they were like,
yeah, they're going to know who you are.
and they were like, hello, and it's a really awkward moment as well, and it's like, have I met them before? Like, are they going to really be upset if I don't recognize the face? Like, it's like, especially when they come out with that line, do you not remember me? Oh God. Oh, what do I do?
Like, of course I do.
Ass twitching moment. Yeah, you know,
the bead of sweat rolling down your head, like
thingy with the dog. Yeah. I have no idea what I've just said, but we'll go with that. Yeah, I'm not quite prepared for that, but I'm definitely prepared for getting back to festivals and music.
Oh, don't. I'm going to one next week, and I'm so excited. Like, it's all I've been doing and like thinking about, and well, as soon as they extended that thingy, the lockdown restrictions, I thought, no, you are not doing this to me again.
Yeah,
like, you've cancelled everything else, but they're like, no, we're still going ahead. We're a COVID safe festival, and I was like, oh my god, it's literally all I'm thinking about.
Has it been the first one, obviously in Coventry or around your area? I mean, so one of my friends literally last weekend just gone. If you're like me, I keep forgetting what bloody day it is.
Yeah,
weekend just gone. He went to the download pilot. I know. He signed up on a mailing list for it, and like, I don't remember. He probably did. He probably boasted at the time, but I didn't remember him saying anything about it. And then they got back to him all, and they were sort of like, come and join on this pilot thing. And then when he said it, we're like, oh, I'm off to download pilot, and we're like, wait, what?
No.
How have you managed that? And he's like, yeah. And he had so much fun. I mean, one of obviously Smeg.
So were the bands, like big bands, still played it?
Yep. Yeah, literally. They had like, I think they had likes of Enter Shikari, Bullet for My Valentine. They had, there were a few on that list that they had where I've still not seen yet, but I've got optimism for future festivals. Like, it's my aim now to make sure I catch some of them. But to be honest, the first festival I'm going to is the Slam Dunk Festival in. Yeah, because they do one Reading, don't they? Obviously South, as they refer to it, and then they do the North one, which is ours. So that's obviously September. So fingers crossed that will go ahead, and obviously
you'll get there
with more and more people like yourself and Gian. When they were obviously doing the pilots, we're in a better position where I'm hoping we are, because I really, really need to. Because I didn't even. I don't know about yourself, but I didn't during any of the lockdowns until recently. I didn't even set foot in a pub because I didn't want to go in and deal with this new way of life atmosphere. No music. You're not allowed to stand up. You need to put your hand up if you're going for a piss, kind of thing. It's like,
please, miss.
I didn't want to experience. I always said I want to go back out when it's somewhere back to where I can literally hug my mates and just be a dick when you're drunk and tell each other how much you love each other, and you know what I mean, all that stuff. And I didn't want to experience it before, but then it's because the lockdown measures were going to get dropped and we were going to be in a better place. It was like, all right, let's crack out. So I went on with it. It was just as awful as I thought it would be, but it were the friends that I were with that made the situation better. And then obviously, like you said, then they put it back. So it's like, oh yeah, you bastards. Like,
it just doesn't feel natural, does it? It does the whole kind of thing of it. It just. I mean, it's nice. Don't get me wrong, to get out and like kind of like socialize, but it's not natural. Like I'm a very sociable person, and for me to kind of feel like, oh, this isn't right. Like. Even like kind of seeing someone from like 2-3 tables away and like not being able to go and say hello, and it's like it's weird. I mean, obviously I know it's moving in the right direction, but yeah, it kind of raises that question, like when it comes to going to festivals and stuff, like are people going to want to be like standing? Well, I will be, but like I imagine like people like would be a little bit like potentially like put off going to them.
I thought that until I saw the download pictures.
Yeah.
And it.
Yeah, ask me again next week.
Yeah. Do you know what? It was literally, again, I didn't go, but just the pictures alone, just when I was looking at, I could feel my face aching because I was smiling that much looking at them, because it felt amazing looking at the pictures, seeing the crowd, seeing people genuinely enjoying themselves, literally face to face aside of each other. But literally a band member less than a foot away from them, rocking a guitar solo or screeching out some vocals. It was just amazing to see that after what we've all been through.
So it's really weird, and it's so nice to kind of talk to someone who kind of feels that way about it. It was my mate's birthday a few weekends ago, and we went to like this random little pub, but they had like an outside area and the weather was really nice, and they had like a band on, and I think they started with like no, they didn't start it, like towards the end of the night. It was like they played Mr. Brightside. And just like literally, I've just given myself goosebumps, right? But just like it's the most generic, like crowd pleasing, like overplayed song in the world. But like seeing people kind of like standing up, like singing at that point of the night, like all kind of thing went out the window. Everyone was still like at their tables, but like on genuinely looking around, seeing people sing Mr. Brightside, like enjoying themselves, kind of having a little bit of a dance, like it was really overwhelming. And it was like, this is what it was like remember this, like this is, and it was like a real moment, because it was like I at one point I didn't think it was ever going to get back to that.
I'm so glad that you said it that way, because that's one of the things I dealt with on my mental health side, that I just couldn't see a way out. Not in terms of obviously, where people are suffering with different mental health conditions and stuff. I don't mean in that terms, but I just couldn't see that we were going to come out of this pandemic, because at the same time as I were doing the studies, one of the part of the studies I were doing was, weirdly, we were touching on obviously your chemical balances within obviously the body in terms of how medication reacts, but then they were talking about how viruses can lead to like mental health conditions because of obviously starving the oxygen levels towards the bloodstream. So they were touching on things like influenza and COVID. So I got to see the inner science behind it of things like that. And it would just, every pandemic in that sense is always, it's an 18-month cycle. So then when we could see Boris and government try to run far before we could walk, it was like, I'm not saying it because I'm pissed off in general, Boris. I'm saying it because you are now starting this 18-month process off again every time you fucking this up. And people are committing suicide because they're so isolated in situations. Like, no one wants to put that onto another person. They don't want to put it onto politicians and stuff like that. But I just felt, I was like, you're genuinely killing people in that stupid decision that you're making, which is now ultimately extending things even further. So that was always my genuine concern that I stressed about during lockdowns, that
no, I completely agree with you.
And as a parent, it was difficult as well, because I had to try and instill the positive side and reassurance to the kids. Whilst not, most parents will say it as well, that we just wing our way through life in parent, and there's no textbook. You make it up as you go along.
I'm not even a parent, and it's literally how I've survived 99% of my life.
So it's just kind of like, so it was just reassuring them that everything's fine, and we are going to come through it, and we just all need to be a little bit more patient and stuff like that. I felt like I was Gary Barlow fucking singing a Take That song or something like that. But no, mate, I think you're gonna feel so much better than you already do feel after that festival. I think that's
I hope so. I can't wait. It's from mate's 30th as well. Like we were supposed to be going to the Isle of Wight festival last year. Got cancelled. Then we were supposed to be going to see Duran because I just started buying random tickets to things like I need to get out. That got cancelled. We were supposed to be going on holiday. That got cancelled. So this is like a 30th birthday celebration a year and a bit after it was supposed to happen. So I'm just, and it's Gabrielle and Basement Jax. So two people that I genuinely would probably listen to like on a day-to-day basis. I mean, Basement Jax, they run the bloody show. So now like my first gig, they were actually my first gig ever to go to as a kind of teenager. To now my first gig out of this, they're going to be like, it's quite fitting
when it's sort of like, you know, sliding doors of life revolve and it comes back full circle, and it's like nice. That's nice that it's going to be the first one kind of thing.
All happens for a reason.
That's the one. Shall we? I don't even know if we should bring it up. The job, America.
Oh,
I don't want to, but obviously people are they're gonna obviously follow you after this, and they're gonna see, and they're like, oh wait, I thought you were going to New York, and I get with the travel and stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought that too. So.
Mate, I remember that day. I remember that day that I messaged you, and you sent me that message, and you were telling me about the whole situation in airport and stuff like that, and I could have cried for you. I don't know how I didn't, to be honest. I really don't know how I didn't. Especially with that security guy. Oh, no, see what?
Don't. Sir, you're not getting on that plane. But to be fair, like in my head, I kind of told myself, don't get too excited. Don't get too excited until you are sat on that plane. Don't get too excited. So I had a week of kind of keeping myself so busy, like kind of meeting people for a beer to kind of say like bye. Like obviously I was able to give my mum a hug for the first time in well over a year that week. So I had a lot going on. So, and the whole going to America thing was just going to be like a bit of a tip on the iceberg.
Yeah.
But in my head, even though I had every kind of basis covered in my head, it was actually their side that kind of stopped it from happening.
Yeah.
So that to me was just like, I'm a big believer now, like if it is out of my control, I can't give it any worry, because it's just not healthy for me to worry about things that I can't control. And especially because I'm an overthinker, like, and I will go down that road of, it's my fault, I could have done this, But yeah, obviously from just opening up, obviously it got the attention of some mad American doctor, and now he's like one of my best mates. He's offered me a job, and so hopefully once this is all done and dusted, like I'll be off to New York to
and it's like you said,
when conversation going,
when you started this when you started this journey that you were on to now, if you know what I mean, it's one of them, if you could get in DeLorean and go and pick yourself up from past and bring yourself to like future and like interact with each other, it's like, would you even recognize each other in that short space of time? You probably wouldn't even talk to each other.
No, I've had people now say to me like, I don't recognize you anymore. And it's not from a negative point of view. It's like I used to get so worked up. I used to bite so easily over things. Like I was just angry all of the time. And like conversations like this and, stuff with the podcast and like so many different aspects of it, like it doesn't exist. Like that version of Taylor does not exist anymore. And, to go from a space where I thought that was it. I thought, this is my life now. I'm going to be a carer. I'm not going to be able to do anything that I kind of like want to do, like my own goals, to then kind of have pushed past that and just kind of, see my mum push past every obstacle, like the amount of brushes with death that she's had. She beat COVID, like, them saying like she's never going to talk again, to now like she FaceTimes me like 2-3 times a day. Like, regardless of your mental or physical challenge, like you deserve better. Like you're not defined by that. No. And that is something that keeps me going now on a daily basis, because all this stuff sounds like really glamorous and like celebrity, like all that is bullshit. Like that is not what, you know what I mean? That, don't get me wrong, it's nice to get like a little bit of recognition, obviously from what you're doing. Of course it is. But if the waffle shop was to end tomorrow, I've left like a bit of a legacy, and it has changed my life. It has done what it needed to do for me. So all these kind of conversations, like even like you obviously kind of being, you know, as nice as you have been like towards it, it's like, that's just like it's just an added layer of like, well, yeah, like it's just proof that, you know, things do get better. Like regardless of what you're going through right now, it will get better.
And obviously you've mentioned your mum earlier in episode, and obviously you just mentioned her then as well, but the one thing, and I'm obviously I don't want to get you all teary and upset, but from what I've heard about your mum, what she's been through, like she is such an amazing woman, but it obviously for what she's going through anyway, but it's the fact that she's so resilient that she's still being able to bring you into the world and bring you up to be the person that you are. Yeah, you know, I mean, you've fallen, you've suffered with different things along the way, but she's instilled that resilience in you to then push forward, which it's the same from my background. I'm from a broken home in the situation where my younger brother, older sister, we had dad who were abusive, alcoholic, violent. My mother, and I take nothing away from people who've got really good mothers. My mother was never any sense of a word of a mother. Some people might say, oh, she tried her best and stuff, but she just didn't in that sense. And I talk about it in previous episodes, and I've got no problems talking about it, but it's one of them, and it's like that episode could be 10 hours long to go through everything that needs to be going through. So to see people that have had situations where they've genuinely got that correct parenting, that's why I was certain that the one job I'm going to do right is to be a parent, and like I'm going to make sure my kids never know a life like that. And I'm open about what I went through and things like that to my kids. They know, so they know kind of how fortunate they are, but it's teaching that resilience, just like your mum's taught with you, because I want to pass that on to my kids. I'm never going to force them into do things that they don't want to do. But if I can teach them resiliency to just push through, like don't let anybody tell you can't be something that you want to be. If you want to do something, you're going to do it. You're the only person that can stop yourself doing it. You're the only person that can do it as well. So you push forward. Don't listen to anybody that says that you can't. Because at the end of it, if you help one person or you affect somebody along the way, then it's all been worth it, surely. Like that is the whole point. And to see you doing that now from what you've been through, to now be in a position where you're increasingly helping more and more people without, and I think it's fair to say, without either of us really trying as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
it's just natural.
Yeah.
It's just being myself, just being open, honest, like, yeah, it all looks a bit fancy, but like we're just two normal guys having this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
And, you know, the impact it's quite clearly having is insane. So it's the best job in the world. And like it really is.
Just literally seeing my friends, like I've got a fair few friends that never spoke about the mental health before. And don't get me wrong, they still don't openly talk about it, but for the first sort of time that they're actually saying comments on WhatsApp groups like, I've been struggling this week.
Yeah.
And for them to say something like, and they have no knowledge of mental health, they're sort of like, I don't know, I just feel a bit meh. And it's like, but you know, if you want to talk about what that meh means, like what's made you feel that way, oh, it's work's frustrating me with this, and then they don't realize, but they're already opening up in that sense, and then creating that environment for them to be just like, just open up. Even if you just want to rant about something that doesn't even mean out, your Xbox controller broke other day, if it pissed you off and it's going to lead to you being more frustrated and bottling stuff up, just talk to me about it. So that's
what it is. It's kind of like preventing those big fires before they happen.
Yes.
Or they might not happen, but it's those kind of things that we do kind of take for granted that build up, especially when it comes to men. Like we will bottle it until it gets to that point where, you know, we kind of explode. So having these kind of conversations and kind of encouraging people to show that like vulnerability, show that emotion, like it's it's life changing and life saving.
It's very much so. And do you know what? As well, from what I've learned so far, again, I'm starting the degree in September, but I've already learned so much already. For those people that think that you're going to be stigmatized, which, don't get me wrong, it's happened in the past with different things, but if you're going to be stigmatized for speaking out and talking about it, the one thing that I've learned so far with how we are now in the world, people actually find it more endearing for you to open up. Because if someone's trying to get close to you, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, and they just feel that you're being very offhanded, it's not a nice feeling on either side of things. But when you open up, they relate to you as well as it relating back, and they'll sit and talk to you for hours. So it's, if people are still concerned or having them reservations about, I really don't want to speak out because people are going to laugh, that say that I'm stupid for feeling how I'm feeling, just fine. Even if you've got that one person to sort of like to trust in, I assure you, just have that conversation. And it might be a really sensitive conversation you're having, but you will notice a little smirk on the face because of how endearing they're finding it that you're finally opening up in that sense. And they'll, like I said, they'll sit and talk to you for hours. And I'm fortunately one of them people that I'm one of them weirdos though that I've always been saying as a young kid, like I'll go and sit on a bench next to a little old deer or an old guy and listen to war stories or something like that, like because everybody just walks past them, don't they? I've always been that guy, but could you imagine me, Taylor, like 19-year-old me in all my emo gear, My Chemical Romance, hair spiked up and stuff, go and sit next to little Doris and she's looking at me like I'm going to rob her or something.
Do you want a sip of my Monster drink?
Yeah,
I'm joking. That was judgment.
Hey, honestly, I can't thank you enough. I know you need to jump off, so I'll not take your time, but mate, yeah. You've been brilliant, and I'm so honoured to have you on. It's been amazing.
Don't be silly, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Genuinely, like you just keep doing what you're doing because you are making such a huge impact, and you're giving people. Even though, like I've told my like kind of story like 100 times over, like now, people are probably sick of hearing it, but giving people that voice to kind of express themselves, and as much as I've kind of told this story, like today was probably quite difficult to kind of talk about it because it is one of those that I woke up this morning having one of those days where I'm like, things are a bit shit. So now I've laughed, I've got things off my chest, like so now I'm going to be like, now it's the weekend. So
recharge.
It's been an absolute pleasure being a part of this.
Thank you, man. And as always, I'm one of them people. I'll sit and listen to you forever. So even if you do need a rant about whatever, or you just want to talk about whatever's been going off that day, just DM me, mate. That's what I'm there for.
Oh, likewise, always,
right, brother. Stay safe. Have a good one, and enjoy your next one. You back to back. I want to try and get something to eat at some point.
Yes, I know. I'm literally my belly. I don't know if you can. You probably listen to this back and like you're here like, did you? How embarrassing. Yeah,
it's brilliant.
It's been a busy morning.
But yeah, man, stay safe and drop me a message if you need out and get some food. I'll send you a message later in the afternoon, check you've eaten. Yeah, thanks for checking. I'll speak to you in a bit, mate. Have a good weekend. You as well, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye. Ta-da, mate. Bye.